Welcome to episode 5 of News for the Blues. Back after a short break. Obviously, the previous episode 4, was filmed pitchside at Hill Dickinson Stadium just prior to that first 1878 show before the Arsenal game. Privileged to be down there. As I said at the time, it was great to speak to Katie from 1878, but also see a little bit behind the scenes and get a little bit of a sneak peek of what was going to happen. Great, obviously, pre-match scenes as well. I think we'll all agree. Fabulous work put in by the 1878 and the club in terms of their support as well. But I'm back to the usual surroundings of the Zebra chair. Obviously, it's been a busy festive period of football, of food, of travel for myself as well. But came back from a little mini break to Switzerland on Boxing Day. Came back and did obviously episode 293 of the podcast, which was great. Obviously, after that 2-0 win away at Forest with a very, very depleted squad. But obviously back to normal now into the new year. Obviously, Happy New Year to everybody who's watching and listens to the show as well. I always seem to sort of mention the shirt that's behind me on the show at the end of the show, but I'll mention it first this time because why not? 1819 away shirt with Leighton Baines print on. Lovely shirt. My favourite ever Everton player. So that's on show for today. But let's jump into things, shall we? In regards to the news out of the club over the last sort of day or so. Obviously, we only played Forest a couple of days ago anyway. As we said, great win, wasn't it? To go there with a squad that was so short of numbers. 4 kids on the bench. Adam Asnew as well. 2 goalkeepers. And then obviously a Jack Grealish who was still very much ill, and Beto. So to come away with any kind of win would have been fantastic. To come away with the point would have been quite good, to be fair. But a 2-0 win, what a morale boosting win that was, and all credit to the manager and the players to go there, do it in that fashion, be so clinical with the chances that we had, and great to see obviously Gino Barry get his second goal for the club against the same side he got his first goal against as well. And James Garner, once again, the standout, running the show in midfield and seems to be getting better week in, week out. But we'll talk a bit more about James Garner in a second. But obviously, press conference today at Finch Farm. David Moyes asked, first of all, really, about the return, because obviously we have recalled Harrison Armstrong from his loan spell at Preston North End. Needs must was very much the answer as to why. It's obvious, with shorter numbers, very, very shorter numbers, especially given the fact that Alcaraz has now come down with an injury. So we are short. So as a stopgap, really, and the manager was keen to point this out, he still feels that after January, he wants to send it back to Preston, which is totally understandable. You want to do that for his development, which is what David Moyes said. You want to do that because David Moyes said, obviously, Preston are in a great position in the league table and they are pushing, obviously, for those playoff places. And he wants to see Preston get promoted as well. But mainly, the development of Harrison Armstrong is really, really important. But we had to bring him back for this month just to get us through. We know, he's got rave reviews at Preston. He did really well at Derby last season as well for the time he was on loan for the second half of the season. He's a player who is developing, but he will add something to that squad depth that we do lack. So great to see him back. He'll be in the squad for Sunday against Brentford. Injury news, obviously, picked up on, as I mentioned then. Alcaraz, we knew for the Forest game, was injured, as was Michael Keane. He wasn't available. Michael Keane has got a chance to make the squad for Sunday's game against Brentford, which is great. It's another body. Alcaraz hasn't, and obviously Dewsbury, another player who is out as well, who's not going to make the game. I'd be inclined, I've got to be honest, looking back at the Forest game, I'd be keeping the back four as it is. Nathan Patterson came in and did fairly well for somebody who hasn't played much football at all. He cramped up about 65 minutes in and was replaced, obviously. But he's come in, done a decent job, getting those minutes in the legs will have done him a world of good. So I'd probably go with the same again. So I think Michael Keane, even if he's available, put him on the bench. I thought O'Brien and Tarkowski were magnificent against Forest. Won everything in the air, didn't they? The two of them had a really good game each. So yeah, Michael Keane being back would be really, really good, but I wouldn't put him straight back in that side. It just helps though having him, having Harrison Armstrong obviously in the squad, makes it a little bit bigger. takes away a couple of those younger players off the bench as well. Jack Grealish, another one who the manager was asked about. We know he wasn't well. I mean, the Forest game, it was obvious, wasn't it? The fact that he wasn't quite there. What was that, Tuesday? He's now saying that Grealish is looking and feeling a lot better, looking sharper, and saying as well. He said he was hit quite hard by a bug. So, it'd be good to get him back firing on all cylinders, won't it? He will come straight back in, you would assume. It's who do you take out? Again, you're looking at what will the manager do. He seems to sort of like the experience of Dwight McNeil. But looking at what happened the other day, you've got to say that Tyler Dibblin, especially as the game wore on, really, really warm to things. Good performance from him. Would have done him the world of good to play that full 90 minutes as well. And you can see what he's all about. And, the game time he got against Burnley as well, put that into the Forest game, now starting to settle a little bit. And it would be nice to see him play in a match when maybe we have a little bit more of the ball and we're a little bit more on the front foot. So, does Tyler Dibblin stay in there? I would say so. Him on one side, Greaves on the left-hand side, McNeil probably going into the 10 instead of Maitland Rule, you would say. Who, by the way, hats off to him. He's playing in the 10. He drops in at right back. He would look knackered after about 70 minutes, didn't he? But put his shift in, needs, must, and again, it's what the players have got to do in this current situation. But I'd still say I'd take Maitland Rule out. He's not going to get in the centre midfield ahead of, obviously, the informed James Garner and obviously Tina Rabunam, who's also been fantastic in recent weeks as well. And that brings me on to James Garner, because obviously man of the match the other day. I joked on the podcast that I only give him a few marks off the full 100 out of 100 on the Finalysis app because he didn't celebrate his goal. He was that good. I think he got on who scored on there, 89.8. What a fabulous performance. Goal and assist speak for themselves, but you're seeing a player now, was he 24 years of age, still young, nowhere near his peak. He's now, he's so important. He's a pivotal player in that side, a player who's certainly become undroppable. Somebody who you can ask to play, if you're playing goal, I'm sure that he would. He's played left back, right back, central midfield, slightly advanced as well. He's a player that Everton must be feeling lucky to have. Somebody who's so versatile and flexible and can play in a variety of positions. And he was brought up in the press conference today because, David Moyes is a big fan of James Garner. We know the situation around his contract. Officially, 6 months left of his contract, but Everton have a 1-year extension, which I'm sure Everton, that will be announced in due course. But we hope that we haven't got to announce just a 1-year option extension. We can announce that he's signed a new sort of 3 or 4 year deal. That's what we want to do. He's a kind of player that we should be given a good deal to and building sides around. You don't want to lose somebody of his ability. But David Moyes obviously asked about his England chances, and he didn't talk them down. He's a big fan. He said he's probably performing as well as any other English central midfielder currently, has been for a little while. So it'd be interesting to see if obviously, I think it's March time now when the next international break actually is. Does he keep up his form? Can he stay obviously injury-free as well? And does Thomas Tuchel look at him as an option and bring him in? Because going into a World Cup, he's a player who can play in a variety of roles. You always need someone like that. I'm not saying, by the way, he should be starting for England, but he's had a fantastic first half of the season. I think we'll all agree with that. Attitude is absolutely spot on. His running ability, his energy, his tackling, every part of his game is so important to his Everton side, and he's excelled in it all. So great to see him getting that praise again, not only from obviously internally and our fan base, but also the media, as well as seeing how good James Garner has performed this season. The manager was also asked a little bit about Europe as well, and what do they think that we can get in there? Really, I suppose was the main crux of the question. And the manager was keen to point out, listen, we are short. Our squad is small. We know that. The Forest game proved that. We've got 2 lads at AFCON. Thankfully, by the way, in terms of Iliman Ndiaye, obviously hobbled off into the half-time for Senegal the other day. He's come through okay, and he's back in training today, so he seems to be okay. You got the 2 lads there. Obviously, we know about Dewsbury Hall and now Alcaraz. Obviously, Branthwaite, Coleman, a lot of key players that Everton are missing or have been missing for certain portions of this season. So we've got to remember that we are still quite a small squad. And I put in the BBC article this week, if anyone's actually get that on the website, on the Everton feed, that I think the talk of Everton in Europe is premature. We know where we are. We're currently 8th. It's a fabulous achievement halfway through the season to be where we are. I think we're 11 points better off than we were at this stage last season. So we are at the right end of the table. But because of the size of the squad, you're always a bit concerned about that kind of talk. And it might just come too soon for Everton, and there's no problem with that because we're at the very early stages of this rebuild. And I think that is a bit premature. There's no pressure on us to get European football. Can we get it? A lot of sides could get it, couldn't they? I still feel that it might just come a little bit too early. But David Moyes is keen to point out that we have got a small squad. That took him obviously into discussing January transfers, and he said, the right player comes around, then we'll go for it. The owners have always been supportive, the board have been supportive, and if we can add, and it's right for the football club, then we'll look to add. I mean, there's been a bit of talk about a striker, Dovbeg at Roma. You look at Hayden Hackney at Middlesbrough, bit of talk about him as well in the background. So you just don't know, do you, about who's going to come in, if anyone's going to come in, and how many deals we actually do. But that remains to be seen. I think that I've said this before on the main show, if we can add, or if the owners feel that we can challenge for Europe, we're in a good spot now, will they choose to gamble? That's the big question. Because if they feel that we can get it, then they might throw a hand in the pocket and say, okay, we'll bring in 2 or 3 players to try and make that push for Europe. Let's see. But it's a busy month. It's a long month. There's a lot of games, obviously, we know to come. Starting on Sunday, 3 games in 6 days at Hill Dickinson Stadium. It's a busy time. Great chance for us to keep on going in the right direction. The last couple of games, 4 points from our last two games, 2 away games as well, 2 clean sheets. We're asking a lot of the squad on this side, but they're having a right good go, aren't they? And let's just see where that goes. But that was pretty much the news out of the club over the last couple of days since the Forest game, to be honest. As I say, it's a busy period now, looking ahead with Brentford, Wolves, and then Sunderland in the FA Cup as well to come. So great for us to be at home for 3 consecutive games. Nice to get back down there after a bit of a break since the Arsenal game before Christmas. If you haven't done already, make sure you listen to episode 293 of the main podcast, which was recorded on Wednesday. So the day after the Forest game, we had on Matty Dillon, has been on for the show for a little while. He was back on. Great to speak to Matty. And also our resident Forest fan, Adam Henry, as well, who came on to discuss, obviously, from a Forest perspective, that defeat and what it means for them, and obviously the thoughts on Sean Dyche and where things went wrong and where they're currently going wrong for their club as well. So great to speak to Adam as well to get that insight. But please, if you can check that out. We'll be back ourselves, obviously, after the Brentford game with the normal show. Quick turnaround before the Wolves game. So make sure you tune in for that. Thanks for listening, as always. Thanks for watching, those on YouTube as well. It is much appreciated. Check out the previous episodes of this show as well. Only fairly new, only episode 5, but I recommend highly the previous one, obviously, when I was pitchside at Hill Dickinson Stadium. Great episode, that one. Really enjoyed that. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Come back to us on Sunday for the main podcast. We'll see you then.